Hi guys, welcome back to the Female Esports League Elite for League of Legends. I am Metanoia.
And I am Iconic. How you guys doing?
Yeah, that was such a long break. That's because it is double elimination, so they were trying to finish the losers bracket, but now we're back in the winners bracket quarterfinals between Barcy Esports on the blue side and Team X on the red side.
Yeah, and what's really nice about this matchup we have today is it's actually somewhat of a grudge match because we have former teammates now on opposite sides of the rift.
Yeah, as what Kiara was saying, BER Wicked or Mika Daime and Suzy Sor, and I'm not sure if
I think it was Alexa. Yeah,
is playing in Barcy right now, but they were former teammates, and as you said, former teammates would know how to press each other's buttons, and Nar and Zach banned right away for Barcy Esports.
Yeah, so Juani as well. So they're trying to get rid of a lot of tankiness on the side of Team X.
And a lot of favorite picks of Team X.
Yeah, because Nar being Suzy Sor's number one champion. Some might actually refer to her as like a one-trick dinosaur, just playing Nar all day long. And yeah, we have a Taric.
Wow.
Okay.
A Taric first pick is
rare, very rare. Maybe we have a throwback to the funneling of 2018 because it is still a thing. Twitch chat, Facebook chat.
Facebook chat. Yeah. The thing is with this first pick, it hides so much information on what Barcy wants to do, but it also gives so much room for Team X to just get those power picks. So J4 picked up once again for Lois Gaming. She is the jungler, quite the aggressive one as well.
Yeah, and one thing is that we've been seeing a lot of Jarvan today. I don't understand why Jarvan is being picked, because like Lee Sin is really in a good place right now. Lee Sin, Camille, a lot of these junglers. Sin Zhao even is really, really good and doesn't require as much of a setup compared to Jarvan. Basically, Sin Zhao, you just charge at them and then try to knock them up, while Jarvan, you have to hit both your E and your Q.
Another favorite for this tournament is the Tristana, and we're seeing it again first rotation under Barcy Esports. I think this is the first time we'll be seeing a Kindred, but then we haven't really seen that side of the bracket where Barcy was competing in. They did defeat two teams prior to this game.
Yeah, and the Tristana, I feel like, is a comfort pick for most AD carries right now in this tournament because of your ability to reposition during fights. Because we have seen a lot of fights where the AD carries don't position optimally. They're sometimes like in weird places. So I think the rocket jump will help them, fix that error. So it's like maybe just so that they can make sure that they don't instantly get insta-gib by the enemy team.
Team X still picking their usual roster of champs with a Severe there and Anami. It's like the third time.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it's Janelle's go-to. I think. Yeah.
Yeah, and Janelle was doing a lot of kills as well on that Nami.
Yeah.
But as we see in the bans right now, both teams are trying to take away more tanky picks. Save that Annie. Oh, I guess you're not gonna see a Galio this time around either.
What a shame. What a shame. But what I would want to see now is I wonder what Suzy starts gonna run in the top lane, because the two champions that she's played this entire tournament, Nar and Dr. Mundo, have been banned. So what will she pull out of her bag of tricks this time?
Well, Vladimir is open, and Vladimir is in the meta, but I'm not so sure if it's in the style that Susor would want. Team X going on and picking that Lissandra. All of these teams in FSL leading up to the game, all those that won are really good team fighters. And so far, Team X is doing just that in their team comp.
Yeah, like the only standout game we've seen so far is the one where we had the GP mid, where the skill gap between the mid laners was just really huge. But
yeah, they didn't even get teleport. Yeah.
But the last 3 games that we've casted, aside from that one outlier game, the other 2 games, it's been more of like, we'll play slow, we'll get a few ganks in, but then boom, big team fight. It's always been boom, big team fight.
But I guess we're expecting something very different from Barcy Esports. Quite a pick-oriented comp that they have right now, hovering over that Shen for some protection in these carries maybe. Let's see if they will be locking that in. And they do.
Yeah, and as you can see, it's actually a really decent composition coming out from Barcy Esports because they have a lot of protection. They have the Kindred's ultimate, they have the Shen ult, they have the Taric ult. There's so many ways to make sure that the Tristana, the Kindred stay safe, and the Ahri can still get her picks. So I think we have the Renekton for Suzy Sor. I don't think we're gonna see that in the mid lane. Very rare. So overall, the compositions, it feels like a lot of the power of Team X is early game oriented, but I feel like in terms of scaling wise, I'd put my chips on Barcy Esports.
And as you said, these team fight oriented clashes, if Team X fails on their burst combos, Barcy Esports definitely has the tools to kind of extend it and to turn it around. They do have a Taric, they do have a Kindred. If they just play it right, they'll be able to get Team X's tempo in a complete reverse. We have seen Team X dominate, but we haven't seen them play in a back foot, and I
Yeah.
think that would be interesting here.
And like for me, the only thing that would give Team X a gigantic advantage is the amount of AoE damage they have. They have the Tidal Wave, they have the Cataclysm, they have the Severe Ricochets, they have the Lissandra passive, which is also very insane. The moment they get one person down from Barcy Esports, it'll be like dominoes, just keep all of those reanimated Barcy Esports. Like, Mika Daime, why did you explode on her teammates? Boom! And then, Barcy could get wiped out.
And to add to that, Team X has just generally played laners that are generally safe. They're not that easy to gank. But when you hit level 6, it's easy to group up as well.
Yeah.
On the other side, on Barcy Esports, you did say that the problem with crit champs is that it will take so long for them to actually build that up, and I am not so sure if that Tristana will be able to scale as it should. It hasn't in FSL so far.
Yeah, but we'll see. We'll see how things go. For me, I feel like Sivir into Tristana. Tristana does have the range advantage because of her draw bead. But the thing is, Sivir doesn't need to match the range of Tristana. She doesn't have to hit Tristana as her first target to actually damage the backline. Because as you can see in the composition coming out from Barcy Esports, they have like a 2-3 composition where they have the Ahri and the Shen up front looking for picks, absorbing damage. And so the Sivir does well in these kinds of against these kinds of compositions because all you have to do is hit the people in the front, and then the Ricochet will just take care of the backline. So it's very curious. Like, I'm very curious how it's all gonna play out, because one thing that's going to stop this composition from Team X is actually Shen. Shen's Spirit Refuge will do so much damage mitigation. You can deny the martial cadence coming out from the Jarvan. You can deny the W coming out from the Renekton. You can deny Sivir ricochets as well just by being able to block these auto attacks. So it's going to be interesting how things are going to work out. We're just drawing up like these different scenarios for people who are watching right now, but it still comes to like the execution. It is an amateur tournament after all, so some things can go awry even though we already know the possibilities.
Yeah. And a lot of those scenarios would depend a lot on how the early to mid game will get drawn out. And that means that leaves a lot of potential on Mikadaime on or BER Wicked on that Kindred, and Lowest Gaming on that J4. We have seen Lowest Gaming just deal so much damage and give their lane so much more to work with so far. But can Wicked match that aggression that Lois has? Because they definitely need to scale, and they need to scale fast.
Yeah, that's true. And one other thing that coming out of like Team X is their extremely short range. So if Kindred starts getting those stacks, it's gonna be really hard for them to deal with the Kindred and the Tristana, both medium to long range AD carries compared to Sivir, who's one of the shortest range AD carries. It's gonna be all up to the carrying hands of the Lissandra and the Sivir to actually make things happen.
Yeah. So the Lysandra, the Renekton has to both be careful when they spend those their gap closers.
Yeah.
If they use that aggressively too early in the lane, and then the Kindred just hops into it, they're not gonna get out, and that's when their win conditions start happening for them.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll see how things go. We're just loading onto the Rift right now. I feel like it's actually a good matchup for Suzy Storm into top lane because it is a Renekton into a Shen. If she, with her expertise in top lane, I feel like she should know how to lane against this. Although the Shen wasn't running teleport. So the moment the Shen commits the Stand United to help a team fight at bottom lane, Suzy Sor has the option to actually take a lot of turret plates off of the top T1 if ever the Shen goes bot lane.
And I think Barcy would definitely have to watch that out. A Renekton doesn't really scale that well, so if they just shut Suzy Sor down early on, and just use that utility on that Shen to enable the Kindred, maybe they'll have a better chance scaling into mid or to late game. Because so far, Team X's game has been dominant. They haven't shown like huge mistakes, aside from overcommitting in certain team fights. But let's see how Barcy Esports managed to go all the way into these quarterfinals. They definitely have some A game on them.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to Suzy Sor flexing her muscles on the Renekton, because like Renekton seems like a very simple champ, but he, among like all the champions in this game, Renekton is one of the more mechanically complicated champions just because he has so many animation cancels, and even though he doesn't back then he didn't scale as good as he does now into the late game, because he received a few changes, a few patches back. I think it was like season 8. And his late game is actually pretty decent now compared to before when he was just useless. And I look forward to watching Suzy Sor 100-0 one of the AD carries. Because there are two right now for Barcy Esports. Whoever is not bound by the Taric doesn't get bonus armor. So Suzy Sor can shred them, right? So I am looking forward to all the animation canceling. Like something like a Riven, But not to that complexity.
Yeah. And well, this has been the matchup that we've been waiting for since the beginning of the tournament. When we saw the list of participants, oh my god, are these teams going to end up facing? And they are right now in the quarterfinals. But the thing is, this is a double elimination bracket.
Yeah, second chance to live.
Yeah, so later on, one of these teams may end up in the finals, and they may still face if the other team in the losers bracket go all the way back into that best of 3. So alright, we are gonna start here in the Summoner's Rift. That is a top Shen, as you said, with Ignite.
Yeah, so much protection coming out from Barcy. Just the Shen Spirit's Refuge denies all the auto attacks. Then you have the ultimate coming out from Taric as well. It's just going to be so interesting how Team X will play the team fights, because they do not have a lot of spell damage. Their only source of spell damage is the Lysandra, who, by the way, is running Arcane Comet, which is very weird. Because the meta the trend right now is them running Aftershock so that they don't get insta-gibbed after they use their combo.
Well, there has been different playstyles that we've seen in this tournament, but one thing is for sure, in the games that we've seen so far, this triple Ignite comp hardly works unless you are confident that you have a huge skill advantage against your enemies, and that just goes through. That's what goes through in pro play. That's why a lot of them run teleport, because to an extent they do respect their enemies and they don't run a triple Ignite comp. So will this be a double-edged sword on the side of Barcy?
It usually does, but the Ignite, considering that Shen does have a global ultimate, the Ignite could possibly help him, deal with their Renekton later on in the 4-1. Because right now you can see like both compositions. We haven't seen any 1-3-1 compositions. It's always just either one teleport or no teleports at all from both sides.
Save for that one game with GGTY that they did run a triple Ignite, but that was just, that skill disparity was just so big. And actually they're still in the game right now in the losers bracket. So yeah, but until Until then, here's the fight between Barcy Esports and Team X. Both teams actually don't have much wards to track their enemy jungler, save for that one on the Barren River. They're able to spot Jarvan right there. A bit of brawls. Suzy Sor getting that ninja's health.
Yeah, so it's really unfortunate that Suzy Sor wasn't paying attention to the minions. Janie got level 2 immediately and went for the Shadow Dash trade and got like 2 grass procs right now. So the name of the game for top lane is actually who can get as many. Like, as Renekton, you have to make sure that you don't give too many grass procs to the Shen while also being able to deal with him by poking him down with your Call the Meek, with your Ruthless Predator. And right now, we actually just missed it, but
Yeah.
Lewis Gaming actually ganked top and burned Janie's flash immediately.
Yeah, so that would definitely deter Janie from stacking any more of those. The thing is, Barcy had a ward there, and Janie just totally missed that. So that was quite unfortunate on their side. Now, Barcy's ward control are more towards the bot lane. They're able to track Lois Gaming well, but that won't mean a lot if you're not able to respect the damage.
Yeah, and I'm really disappointed with like how things have gone, right? Cause Janie blew her flash immediately when she was getting ganked by the Jarvan, but there was no chance that she would actually die. What I would have wanted to see coming out from the team of Barcy, if they were on the like next level, what I wanted them to do was Janie bait it out a little bit more, waste more time coming out from Lewis Gaming, and then Mika Daime steals the blue of Team X, because you can actually do vertical jungling if your enemy goes for a level 2 cheese, like just like what the Jarvan did, where he went from red into top lane immediately. You can immediately just vertical jungle, because at that time Barcy actually had priority in both mid lane and bottom lane, so it was actually a pretty safe take. A 3 buff start for a Kindred is so big because it actually puts Jarvan on a really big disadvantage. That's 100 gold that he loses there.
Missy Hops get a charm, gets a full combo until Untitled has to go back a bit. Actually, Untitled has been using up so much of her mana just to trying to get control of the lane, and she's still pushed in. So that doesn't bode too well. You do not want Missy Hops to roam around freely and to just get assist or kills onto the other lanes. So.
Yeah, you can see like the difference right now. I feel like the Untitled isn't getting as much value from her mana flow.
Oh, Lois Gaming comes in, Tristana jumps out into safety, and Missy Hops will get that first blood from a really tricky brush pick.
Yeah, so I didn't know. Untitled didn't know where Missy Hops was. It was actually a good time for them to recall, because this is a cannon wave right now. It's 5 minutes, so it should be a cannon wave. No, it's not. My mistake. It's supposed to be like a recall, one more wave after. So Untitled staying a little bit too long. Didn't have any mana. I feel like the way she's been handling her resources, just not working out. Probably not hitting those ice shards.
Yeah.
Therefore, not getting mana flow bans. Because you can see Missy Hop still has mana, even though,
Yeah.
they've been duking it out so much in the mid lane.
Pings are going off on that barren side river. Not sure yet why. I guess they were trying to spot the Kindred because she has gone undetected for a while. Meanwhile, on the top lane, Janie is just trying to herd this Gator while Missy Hops has to use her ult out to survive.
Yeah, and just like what we were talking about earlier in the top lane matchup, all Janie has to do is keep up in CS and make sure to get as many grass procs as she can during the laning phase, because this will play a really huge part in the later parts of the game. Just that the few extra, like a free ruby crystal, it can make a heap of difference.
So the different players are starting to recall now to get their first items, and this is where we start to see what style they're trying to opt to throughout the game. So one thing to note about Lois, that's quite different from the other J4s we've seen in this tournament. No matter how ahead she goes, she doesn't really build lethality. Even if she was 3-1-3 in the other game, she was still building down a more tankier route, and that's something commendable. And that's for for a team player like her.
Yeah, I feel like it's just to balance the team out because even Renekton isn't really a hard tank compared to Jarvan. Actually, both of them, the way their kits are designed, aren't really for tanking, but they actually can tank because you have that Golden Aegis, you have that uh, ultimate from Renekton. I forgot what it's called, but it gives you a lot of HP, a lot of durability together with your
Ooh,
Call
Barcy pulls the trigger onto the bot duo and has to flash out while her support clears the ward into the Dragon Pit.
Yeah, sometimes this happens a lot, especially in solo queue, where your jungler suddenly your support randomly leaves and you walk too far forward and you immediately get punished for it. It was really nice move coming out from the Tristana because she knew that the spell shield was gonna come out from Yeya, so he immediately put that third skill, the explosive charge, onto her to get rid of that.
Barcy will be getting that Cloud Drake. Meanwhile, Lois Gaming trying to look for something onto the top lane, but decides to rotate down at the mid lane. It's not warded there. Missy Hops does have her ult, but it seems like the fight will start onto the top lane.
Yeah, very interesting usage of the Spirit Refuge. You know, not getting any value out of it. So.
Getting Entombed and getting Cataclysm in. Missy Hops has used up all her ult counters while Wicked goes out of the brush, stacking up those. Gets that auto a bit too late. Now Untitled will have to face a 3-man stack. Goes down to Missy Hops.
Yeah, that was really close because she accidentally auto-attacked the ward. Oh my lord.
So close,
Yeah,
close.
so it could have been the pop, but I don't think even if she popped her third skill, I don't think it wouldn't even make a difference. Because it still is a tanky Jarvan, but things aren't looking good right now for Untitled. Never getting wave priority and then dying 2 times already this game.
It was lucky that Missy Hop still had counters on her ult when the Cataclysm dropped in. Otherwise, should have been done and the fight would have ended there. And I guess Wicked is gonna go down to another different 3-man stack there.
Yeah, so that's what she was doing what she should have done the first blue buff spawn, but now this time she didn't have bot lane priority. Her bot lane wasn't on the same page. Her bot lane could have rotated earlier, but I feel like this wasn't really a lane priority issue, but more of like a team communication issue.
Yeah.
Like she didn't say, "Hey team, I'm gonna invade their blue buff." So they were late, a few seconds late to the rotation, and that usually happens when you have like a newly formed team. Because Barcy, I don't think they've been playing for too long. A lot of these teams in the FSL haven't been playing too long together, so there's still like different conflicting styles meshing together.
The thing is, there wasn't much of a reason for Wicked to go in that far either. It's not like the fight ended in such a huge stalemate that everyone was low and had to recall. There weren't much signs for her that it was a safe blue buff to get. So, meanwhile, down at bot lane, Yeya is gonna get caught out by that stun again, has to proc her ult, doesn't have a flash, and Missy Hop somehow onto the top lane, really putting the pressure onto Suzy Soar.
Doesn't make sense to me why the Tristana didn't choose to flash and then use her ultimate. That would have been lethal already onto the Sivir, would have netted them a kill, probably a few turret plates as well, because remember, as long as you can gain lane dominance, even if you just force your enemy to recall, those turret plates, if you get 2 of them, they can be equivalent to 1 kill.
And while it seems like there's not a lot of action going on, or it's been ending in few stalemates for the past 10 minutes, Barcy is up a good 2k. And that's because of that bounty onto Missy Hops right now, who interestingly chose to get QSS. So we can expect definitely more escapes from her as Untitled decides to pull the trigger, but the QSS is just there to save her life. Lois Gaming could not follow through.
Yeah, so the QSS is a really nice tech buy just because there's only one point and click CC actually coming out from Team S. So now basically Missy Hops is saying you can't use your Frozen Tomb on me anymore. Good luck. You're just gonna waste a big cooldown. And that was basically like a QSS reveal. You know, like it's the first time this person has QSS, I can't use my ult on her anymore.
Yeah, and Untitled is not in the position really to roam around anywhere else to use it. probably will definitely not burst a Shen. Bot lane has a Taric. So now, at that regard, they'd have to wait until after the turrets go down and until everyone's grouped in for that ult to be relevant for that Lissandra.
Yeah, the only way I feel like Team X can actually get net a few kills here are like well prepared, well coordinated dives. Because the thing is, we're talking about how safe Barcy's composition is. Taric makes bot lane almost ungankable. You have the 2v2 in the top side of the map for Barcy, where they have the Spirit's Refuge, they have the ultimate coming from Kindred, you have Missy Hops being super safe. Looks really grim for Team X. They need to find a way to accelerate or else they're going to lag behind.
Yeah, and they have to accelerate it in the right times of the summoners of Barcy as well. And it looks like Missy Hops decides that the time is right now, throws in everything he has, but in one last tick would make it. Lowest Gaming has to get that Cataclysm in, and a shutdown gold goes to her.
Yeah, that was, just a lot of micro decisions that made it really good, and it was a good thing that Lowest Gaming was actually there to salvage that. But Untitled playing a little bit too far forward, even without having her Frozen Tomb yet. It was still on cooldown, probably like 10 seconds away. And Missy Hops just going all in, trading both summoners for it though. And Untitled loses nothing except Lois's flash.
The first time Missy Hops got a kill onto Untitled was also thanks to birding both summoners.
Yeah.
So that means at this point in the game, Missy Hops doesn't have enough burst for that Lissandra. And even if she's ahead 3-1, she's not taking control of her lane quite well. It is an 88 to 103 CS deficit. And thanks to that, that's only a 1k gold lead on the side of Barcy.
Yeah, because we've come to the point where it's really, really hard for Untitled to not lose CS. Just because all it requires is 2 ice shards and then you've already cleared the wave. And for Missy Hops, it takes a little bit longer because you are an RA. You don't have 2 linear abilities to actually clear the wave. So you don't. This is where it shifts now, because like Untitled is always gonna get mid lane prio, and the question is, what will she do with it? Also, one thing you have to see is Suzy Sword did not tech into the Tiamat. I think she overread the Tiamat changes, because even though they increased the price, it was actually targeted towards the jungle. The additional 175 only means like 1 additional wave, but as you can see right now, Janie is always going to have lane priority, and in this matchup, you do not want to be caught under your turret with a big wave and then you're forced to teleport as your Necton, because it's an either or for you. You're being forced into an option.
Yeah, and given that means Team X will not be able to hurry the game as much as they want, and it doesn't help that Barcy has been getting these Drake stacks onto them, and Infernal in the last one as well. So they're scaling quite well onto this game. 15 minutes in, a 2k gold lead, and we haven't seen much action at the bot lane either. But the Tristana is out CSing the Severe.
Yeah, and looks like just to look at the items, we're going to see a Ninja Tabi completed for the Shen. But what's really peculiar here is that looks like Wicked is also going to offer a Stormrazor. It's either a Stormrazor or probably a GA. I highly doubt it's gonna be a GA, but when she gets the Stormrazor, I do expect her to get something like a Trinity Force or a Rapid Fire Cannon to add to her range and to make her a very competent AD. Although they are on the ward right now, looking for something at the bottom lane.
Yeah, that's a potential 4v4 at the moment. Although Missy Hops will not be there, gonna choose to push mid lane instead. But take note that Janie is a Shen, can just join the fight anytime. But Untitled might meet Missy Hops in the river, being in an awkward position in the map. Team X does have priority over the lane though.
Yeah, I feel like Team X do not want that fight because remember, Suzy Sword does not have Tiamat, does not have teleport, so she does not have priority. Even though she trades as much as possible into this Shen, it won't make any difference now because she doesn't have the Tiamat. And what's happening is she's just giving a lot of grass stacks. There's another grass stack free for Janie. I feel like she's already borderline 10 to 15 grass stacks for free.
Missy Hops chunking down. Lowest Gaming had to go off a bit. Susie Soar is definitely feeling the pressure. She hasn't had this much of a challenge in her past games, but now there's like 3. Oh, and a really fed Missy Hops just chunking Susie Soar down, gonna get the kill. Even tanking a bit of turret there. They might get this top turret for them as well.
Yeah, an unnecessary flash coming out from the Shen. There was no chance that he was gonna die, because if either Untitled or Lowest Gaming actually committed onto them, I'm pretty sure Wicked and Missy Hops could have gotten the counter kill. So a little bit of wasted resource there, but overall it was a really good play. Susie Sword just dying to Missy Hops, and it looks like Missy Hops is gonna complete the Luden's Echo after she takes this blue buff. It's just actually a waste of the timer that you have on the blue buff. You usually want to take blue buff after you've based, but it looks like she doesn't want to base just yet. Wants to push probably one more wave in and then base.
Well, Dragon will be up in a bit, and it is gonna be an Inferno Drake. Team X looking to get more opportunities here in the Dragon Pit, as they haven't so far. But Barcy, of course, will try to defend that second Infernal stack for themselves.
Yeah, but again, Stand United is still up, and this is where the Ari should recall. She should have recalled a little bit earlier, and it looks like she's canceling her recall. Interesting, because right now at this stage of the game, she can already complete her Ludit's Echo, maybe even a Sorcerer's Shoes, but she's opting to push the wave one more time, which will make her a little bit late for the Dragon. You can already see Team X sending on the wave pings towards the Dragon. They want that Dragon, but Wicked actually has other things on her mind, going for the Rift Herald.
Yeah, I think Missy Hops didn't recall because Wicked pinged for the RH, just to get the RH, and they are gonna get that 18 minutes in. Barcy also has prior onto this bot lane, so they may just use that on the mid lane after everyone else resets.
Yeah, but that was just really weird. Yaya using her ultimate for no reason, and that's a really big ultimate.
Yeah.
And just as we were talking about that, the explosive charge was on top of Yaya, and Yaya walked to her turret. So the turret actually took damage from that, and Yaya and Ainz got the turret, even though she wasn't there.
Man, that AOE should be nerfed.
I feel like the Sivir walking towards the turret should be nerfed.
Untitled finally getting a different target, but the ult of the Taric saved them both for being chunked any more damage. Missy Hops tries to get a kill, but flashes goes off everywhere. Lowest Gaming tries to get another kill for their team, but here's the Stand United bringing in that ninja to get that last kill. Yeah, however, is trying to go for that backline, but Janelle gets the end of it instead. There's 4 people inside that Kindred ultimate, and that's just going to be the clash for now.
Yeah, like, if Yaya had her ultimate, that probably would have been a different team fight, just because it was a 5v4 at the start. Wicked just came fresh off a base. Interesting, it actually became a GA instead of a Stormraiser, so sometimes people like their own builds. Anyways, Infernal Drake is still up, and looks like they will be doing that after they get mid priority. That should be the right call, but it looks like they're just playing it slow. Usually when an Infernal Drake is on the map, every player in the game should be looking at that Infernal Drake just because of how important it is. And looks like both teams, agreed to a treaty. They made a treaty to not go for the Dragon until the next team fight, which will be in the next minute or two.
The thing is that team fight earlier was really all over the place, and an all over the place clash just bodes well for Barcy because of how their comp is. They can just afford that given how many other more independent and more mobile picks that they have. Meanwhile, for Team X, you can imagine how their wombo should go, but because of that QSS, it just kind of goes nowhere. And they can't start the fights like that, and Susie Sor isn't exactly the hyper carry you'd want in a Renekton at this part of the game either. So now they're kind of struggling how to start off the game with Missy Hops and Two-man stun by Barcy Esports here. Missyhops just going forward to get more kills. Janelle dying the second time.
Yeah, so that's another Infernal Drake already handed over to Barcy, and it looks really bad for Team X right now because, as you can see, Ari also not opting for the Oblivion Orb, instead going for the Hextech Revolver, so she's going to be more slippery in these team fights, a lot of added mobility, 10% cooldown reduction as well, so she might also have Transcendence leading up to 40% CDR. It looks really grim right now. They might even get the Inhibitor turret if they force this.
Yeah, and they will be using that RH onto the mid lane, as we said earlier. Much of the map is really to Barcy's control. So they are trying to find something, but instead face checks into a 4-man stack. Yaya left alone here. Good thing there wasn't a carry in sight. Otherwise, that would have spelled trouble for Barcy Esports. We're pinging the top turret right now, and they can just take that.
Yeah, but again, so that was a really nice ward coming out from Wicked. She actually put that pink ward in the right spot so that the moment Suzy Sor entered the brush, they already saw her and they were ready for her. But I feel like right now they could have actually done Baron. Baron could be an option just because of how they have a double AD carry composition. They have a lot of true damage coming out from the Ahri, and you have percentage damage coming out from the Shen. So that coupled with the double Infernal Drakes could have been an easy Baron as well, considering that they have ways of dealing with the Jarvan in case he tries to steal. You have the ultimate coming from the Tristana to actually push him away when he is mid EQ.
And J4 actually opts to prioritize that Scuttler ward onto the Baron pit, and that face check of Suzy Sor was actually quite uncharacteristic, and I feel like Team X was just kind of forced to put her into that position because Untitled definitely can't be the unstoppable Lissandra that we know in pro play to do that. Lowest Gaming, not exactly the one with highest survivability, since you can't really just dash in and out. So this frustration onto the vision play of Barcy Esports is really forcing Team X to make more mistakes than they should.
Yeah, and looks like we're gonna see a Hextech Gunblade instead coming out from the Ahri. So probably missing that old passive coming out from the Ahri. So I want my spell vamp back, Riot. So she just chose the Gunblade instead of the extra mobility coming out from the Proto Belt. But as you can see right now, Untitled not doing so well, might actually die.
Untitled dies to Glacial Path out of there, and early ult being dropped by the Taric, and Untitled had to use her own ult to just save himself. A 3-man Cataclysm may just start the fight on the side of Team X, but Barcy will just be able to sustain that in the safety of the Kindred's ult. They're 5-man strong against a two-man team surviving on the side of Team X, and they will be just getting this turret to end that clash.
Oh my god, the coordination that happened. So we are talking about how Untitled used Frozen Tomb on herself, right? Because of the explosive charge from the Tristana. What happened was Yaya also flashed and healed to try to keep her teammate alive. And that was the reason why they lost that fight, because it was actually a really good fight for Team X. They were all funneled in that really tight corridor. But the thing is, Yaya didn't have the safety of having her flash and heal up, so she had to play so far back that she couldn't DPS at all the entire fight.
Yeah, that was a 3 or 4-man Cataclysm by Lowest Gaming. That was the window of opportunity that she has been looking for the entire time. It must frustrate her that, as you said, the follow through that was supposed to be there since the drafting phase just didn't push through, and now their mid lanes open, and they're just trying to get their lanes back in until that Drake spawns. I'm not even sure if they can contest that.
Yeah, and it looks like it might be a third Infernal Drake.
Whoa!
If that is a third Infernal Drake, things will look really, really bad for Barcy. It is a third Infernal Drake, and as you can imagine, if the Ahri goes for Oblivion Orb, she will insta-give anyone on the side of Team X aside from Suzy Sor, just with the amount of raw damage. it's going to be very scary.
A lot of summoners are down on the side of Barcy though. A lot were burnt in that last clash, so maybe they wanna just choke Team X into more turrets until they get their summoners back online. Team X are calling their bluff. That's 5-on-5 down at bot lane.
Yeah, and hopefully Barcy does make the rotation to get this dragon. They've already started it with the Tristana, and Wicked is already there as well to follow up.
Team X isn't gonna contest that. Yeah, just went back to recall, and that's a third Infernal Drake onto Barcy Esports.
I'm not a fan of like the way the Kindred is itemizing. She is very safe in their composition, so I feel like the Storm Razor would have been so much better into this Black Cleaver. If she after she opts into this Black Cleaver, she could go for an attack speed item already, but I feel like it's just, too much safety already.
Lowest Gaming is gonna face check a 4-man Barcy stack, and he can only Cataclysm to stall whatever forces they have coming up to them. That's a 38-second death timer, and the rest of Team X are scrambling to go back to their base.
Yeah, and it looks like Barcy wants to end. This is very questionable considering the amount of wave clear coming out from Team X. So this could be Team X's opportunity if Barcy throws their lead right now.
Those are super minions, and Untitled uses her ultimate onto herself, trying to whittle down all the HPs of Barcy Esports, but the severe Yeya just can't auto attack to wipe the rest of that HP of Barcy Esports because Lois wasn't around.
Yeah, and that was such a good fight though. That was a really good initiate coming out from Untitled, but it wasn't enough because remember, crit AD carries need 3 items to become relevant. And the thing is, Jaya's just not there yet. If she was there already, it would have been a different fight altogether. All those ricochets critting all around, it would have just tore Barcy in half.
Yeah, that was really unfortunate for Team X. They have Lois and Untitled both have found windows of opportunity, but now it's up to Yeya to find that for herself, for her team. They had all these team fights that they could have just turned around, and but because it just doesn't bode well for them, it's always at that 2 or 4 HP bar fight that's left. Barcy just gets the reset, and now they're contesting Baron.
Yeah, and I don't think Barcy realized that they couldn't end the game right there. So even though they did get a Nexus turret, that was still pretty good for Team X because they did defend it and they got a lot of gold out of it. So
2K in Lowest Gaming actually steals the Baron from Barcy Esports, and that's four players on Team X having that Baron buff for them to just stay in the game. That's what they needed.
Yeah, Team X looking to turtle through the game, like just get to that 40-minute Sivir, being able to have 6 items and just cut through the enemy team. That's one of their win conditions right here, aside from getting the Lissandra passive procs. So we'll see how well Team X actually turtles this game, because right now they are in a good spot. As long as the Lissandra, as long as the Sivir are alive, they're still in the game.
It's not as effective as it should be though. Oh, now it has respawned. They better defend that to really maximize that Baron buff onto them. But 2 players from Barcy Esports are whittling it down to half, and it might go down again. That's unfortunate. Lowest Gaming just came back from the death timers.
Yeah, but this is gonna be a really, really long game. I have a feeling this game's gonna take a little bit longer, folks. We're gonna see a lot of turtling coming out from Team X just because of the amount of wave clear. We have Infinity Edge already completed on the side of Yeya. Finally, she is a champion. After 31 minutes, she's actually relevant. And we'll see how well she does in these team fights.
Yeah, maybe it's just one of those, the reason why she hasn't been able to auto through the rest of the HP is because, as you said, she doesn't feel confident because of the amount of damage that she's dealing right now. But now that she's 4 items strong, maybe, just maybe, she'll finally get that amazing team fight that Lowest Gaming or Untitled will be able to serve up for Team X and actually get some prio back into the lane.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, look at Yeya right now. this is the same tale as we had a few games ago with the Jinx. The most important thing right now for Team X are the summoners of this Sivir. Nothing else matters except this Sivir staying alive. Because this Sivir is the only thing that's keeping them from actually losing their entire base. All that wave clear coming out from the Sivir just pierces through all the minions. Easy farm, easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Look at that. Like 20 CS already above. I have a feeling we might even see like a 50 or 60 gold lead. 50 or 60 CS lead over her Tristana counterpart.
I mean, teams resetted Barcy Esports at 32 minutes, slowly but surely growing that gold lead onto them. Now they're getting their 5th Drake, Cloud Drake this time.
Which is really good considering that had they gotten like an Ocean Drake or maybe a Mountain Drake, it wouldn't have served them as big as a purpose. A lot of people would argue that, oh, why are you saying that the second Air Drake is better than a Mountain or an Ocean? When you get the second Air Drake, it actually becomes more effective, and as well as it works really well with the composition of Barcy, considering that they need that mobility to kite, they need that mobility to pick. It works so well. Perfect RNG from Barcy, getting all 5 of the best possible dragons on their side. And aside from that, it opens up the win condition of Elder Dragon. So Team X have 2 big objectives now to play around.
But even with that gold lead, even with all of those dragon stacks, as you said, Wicked just chose to be in a more, I guess, bruiser, more utility position in her itemization, and that kind of brings them into a more drawn out game, and that just opens up more windows of opportunity for Team X. Because while you said Yaya finally found her time to be relevant, I bet Suzy Sor and Lowest Gaming and Untitled, they're also just trying to farm up to get those items that they should have minutes ago. But that doesn't mean that they're not going to be relevant now.
At this state of the game, Team X is basically fighting a 3v5. As bluntly as I'd like to put it, Suzy Sor isn't a champion really. The only reason Suzy Sor is there is to apply the armor shred from the Black Cleaver and make sure that Yaya can cut through the beefy front line of Barcy, which is this really tanky. Actually, he's not that tanky, the Shen, because he has a lot of HP and a lot of the moderate amount of armor. But this armor shred coming out from Suzy Sor will do a lot of work.
Janie split pushing for the team. Yaya showing how much damage she can deal even with just the edge of her boomerang, but that inhibitor, that missing inhibitor in mid lane is really whittling down their forces to be able to focus into an initiate.
There are actually some instances where an open inhibitor for your team actually helps you, because the enemy team won't be able to farm that lane anymore. So it will, if they aren't able to close out the game, the gold lead should close between Team X and Barcy. But again, another usage of Yaya on the R. And not leading to much, and that's very, very disappointing because they lose an inhibitor out of that.
Lowest Gaming did get a GA because she recognizes that she needs to stay back into the game, but it may be too late now. That's like 2 Nexus turrets down. Something has to happen, and Tyler just goes in to initiate something, but Janie has that backline under control, and the rest of Team X is just falling down to the tanks, to the carries rather, of Barcy Esports. And Missy Hops may be gone, but Ains is still there with three players trying to protect her, and that ultimate may just that will shut her down out of the game, but it won't be enough for Team X to win it through. Barcy Esports actually takes the game for them.
Yeah, exactly. So this is what we were talking about. We can already see the things happen in the future just because of how the draft went, how they played the game. The early game, we can already dictate what will happen in the mid game and the late game. Suzy Sor couldn't do much because she didn't get the gigantic lead, and she was playing the matchup wrong where she kept giving grasp stacks onto the Shen. So the Shen in the end was so tanky that even though he had a 3-item Sivir, it wasn't enough. Even if his armor was shredded, it wasn't enough because he had so much free HP. He had a free Ruby Crystal, maybe even 2.
And as you said earlier, they had to pick their team fights, but they have to pick it in the right time. And at that time, they just let them destroy the second Nexus turret and just triggered whatever they can randomly. And that's just the nerves, the composure throughout this tournament so far, getting to them. And now they will have a second chance in the losers bracket as Barcy Esports advances to the semifinals. Let's see that those the bracket on FSL so far. Can we see the bracket? Defeated Pacific Purple.
So, like, what you can take away from that game is just the early game didn't go in the way for Team X. The mid gap was also really evident. Their solo kills, like 5 minutes into the game, mid just solo killed each other. So the Comet not actually working out for the Lissandra. That's why Aftershock is what most people get, because it gives you so much tankiness. And aside from that, it was just a lot of mistakes coming out from Team X.
Well, I'm sure Team X learned a lot from that matchup as well. It's their first time having their dream wombo combo comp being beaten and battered by another team. So let's see if they make it through the losers bracket. We have been your shoutcasters for this quarterfinals. I am Meta.
And I'm Iconic.
So see you guys later onto the semis.
Yeah,
right?
semis. Bye, guys.